Okay. So the meeting is now being recorded. Let's have everyone start with the prone plank, elbows and knees or elbows and toes, your choice. But we're going to start on the elbows. Fingertips are down. Come up and hold. Knees are just a little bit soft here. Pelvic floor, belly button pulled up and in. Chin is slightly tucked. As you breathe out, we're pulling the ribs and belly button back towards the spine. Fingertips press down all the way through. Good. Make sure the knees are soft so we're not locking out. We're not relying on the quads. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Good. We're going to stay hands and knees here. If you want to go from fist to protect the wrist or thumb, you may. But we're going to do pointers on one side. First time through, I'd like you to get a little bit wide set. So your hands are just outside of your shoulders. Your knees are just outside of your hips. And then we're going to go in and out on one side. When you take the diagonal away, don't shift your spine over your knee. Stay centered between the two. If you have a seam on the floor or a mat, that might be helpful feedback. Reaching the heel backwards, the third and fourth fingers forward. Pulling the ribs and abs up as you engage the pelvic floor. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back to all four. Give yourself some of those visual cues. Where are your hips? Where's your chest? Where are your eyes? Other diagonal, begin. Exhale as you get long. Use that breath to check in. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Come back down to a prone plank, please. And begin. So again, the knees are not locked. I'm not pressing with my calves. Ankles are a little bit soft. Knees are a little soft. Easy exhales, almost like you're sighing. Continue to press your forearms down as you pull your ribs up and back. Ten seconds. Three, 2, 1. Good. Flip onto your back. It's going to be a marching bridge. We're going to stay with the same lead foot. So heels are down, knees are starting just a little bit closer than 90 degrees. Tuck the tailbone, lift the hips. You're going to step away with one foot. The second foot follows, then come back in. So it's a 4-step. It's a pattern we often do with the band while standing. Here we're doing it from a bridge. Shoulder blades are flat across the ground. We're not allowing the hips to rotate at all. If you want to put your hands on your hips, maybe put finger on rib and then the hip in front to really try and keep those distances the same. If you feel like you're a little unstable, take longer with 2 feet down. Try and pre-engage those muscles before you take the 1 foot away, whether that's on the diagonal or when they're on the same level, your choice. 3, 2, 1, come down, reset, and now lead with the other foot, please. "15 seconds here. Belly button still drawn down. Three, 2, 1. Good. Come to a side plank. We're going to do clamshells. We're opening the toe on this first one. So knees are bent to 90 degrees, forearms down. As your knee comes up, your toes come up. Begin.
You see Tucker?
Good. Keep going there. "15 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Switch sides. So get that whole forearm down. Lift the ribs as you come up. So we're engaged through the serratus as it goes from shoulder blade to ribs and then through the obliques. Still lifting the toe as you lift the knee. If you want to put the second hand down, that'll help protect you, help keep you out of your back. It'll also help take a little pressure out of the shoulder. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Come up to half kneeling, please. So our feet are going to be about hip width apart, maybe a little bit tighter. I'm not worried about getting in the straight line here. From here, we're slightly forward leaning. Both glutes are engaged, so I'm actively pressing down through the heel. As I exhale, I'm going to bring both hands up facing one another as far as I can go while keeping my ribs down. So the movement is generated by pulling the shoulder blades down and back without allowing the ribs to come up in front. This is another one where we can use your breath. Exhale as the hands get overhead. But as we lift those hands, you're not coming up into extension. Three, 2, 1. And switch legs. So we're going to continue that same arm motion, really trying to pull the shoulder blades back, keep the space between your ears. I'm not closing my ears off with my shoulders. Getting every last ounce of air out as you exhale when the hands come up. You can think of rolling the elbow in so the point of the elbow is forward. That external rotation will help center the head of the humerus and maybe help you drop that shoulder blade down and back. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come on up to your feet. Grab that slider. Get it close. And we're not going to use it for the very first one, but we'll get into it pretty quickly. It's going to be squat to toes here, just warming up, getting through that range of motion. Weights 50-50. The ball of the foot's down, the arch is up. Sit bones, pelvic floor is up. As your hips travel back, your eyes are going to come down so we can stay long through the neck. Your eyes are traveling more or less perpendicular to your spine, maybe at a slightly downward angle relative to that perpendicular. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Grab that slider. We're going to do a lateral squat. So feet are parallel. They stay parallel. We're going to slide out to 50-50. Squat down in between. Come up. Pull together. If you want to make this harder, put more friction. Like you're trying to scoop your feet, almost like ice cream scoopers. Scoop in and up. Take the top layer of the ground up with through that whole medial arch. On both sides, lifting up through the pelvic floor. 20 seconds on this side. Resist the temptation to shift back to the non-slider leg and then come up. Try to stay right in the middle. 3, 2, 1. Switch sides and begin. In and up. "15 seconds. Good. Really focus on staying in control. You're allowing it to come out. You're pulling it back up and in. It's not getting so wide that you have to shift your weight out of that 50-50 goal. 3, 2, 1. Good. Side on, we're going to do that range of motion lunge. Throw both hands forward. Hopefully the little hip flexor opener we just did will allow you to get a little bit deeper here. We're looking at the angle between your thighs with a neutral spine and an engaged pelvic floor. So the lower you can get as deep as you want here, just so long as we're still lifted and engaged. I'm not saying vertical and coming into extension. That weight's in the front foot. You can reach at least the same hand as the slider goes forward, if not both. Feel that work from the front hamstring as you pull the heel backwards to get you up. Good. Switch sides. And begin. Make sure as you go back here, you keep your feet hip width apart. Don't get tempted to slide around and have that hip shoot out. The weight's in the heel. I'm lifted, so there's a little bit of space in the front of that hip. The goal is going to be to keep the toes spread as you pull yourself back up. If it feels like they come up in order to initiate the return to standing, I'm okay with that. Because it means we're not lunging forward. We're not throwing our weight forward and going to get into that knee a whole lot. 3, 2, 1. Good. Back to squats. So no slider here. We're getting as deep as you feel you can safely. In this squat here, I don't want your knees to get too far past your toes. Keep your heel down and keep the weight in your heel. If you can keep the weight in your heel and your knees come forward, that's okay. Just don't round your spine to do it. So stay nice and long. "15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Forward tees, no slider. One foot's planted. Keep the hips horizontal. I'm not opening. Up and down on that side. Toes stay spread, send the hip back. So we're getting into that high hamstring. You're feeling stretch and work on the planted leg side. If you want to make it a little more difficult, you can reach your hands overhead. Don't let that pull your center of gravity forward. Don't let it pull you into an arched back. 2, 1, and switch. Okay, 15 seconds on this side. Feel where those hips are in space. Keep them level. Keep them square to your ribs. So as I lengthen, I'm not wrapping around the front foot. Trying to stay long on both sides. 2, 1. Good. Back to a static lunge. One foot's going to be on a slider. The foot that was just planted is going to be on the slider. Come down to a static lunge. So it's not super deep. We're maybe halfway down, as low as we feel comfortable. From there, we're going to put the slider out, straight to the side, come back in, back 45 degrees. If you'd like to reset and come straight back, you may. If you don't have to, go out to the side and back at 45. We're not going up and down. We're trying to get that plant leg to be static. So there's no way, no movement, no way to tell whether your leg's out, in, or back. So the arch is down, the femur is pulled back, sit bones are lifted, the knees aligned with the second toe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, switch. So second side, take a moment to get into it. Plant the foot, find the ball of the foot, put a little weight into it, then pull the femur back. Hips and femur are square. We should be able to feel some high hamstring tension, a little bit of high adductor tension. Toes are spread, but the weight's in the heel. Begin. Ribs are still drawn back, engaged through the core. This is one where you can use your hands as a second set of eyes. Can you feel that tension where you want it? 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back down to the ground. You can move the slider away. We're coming back to a prone plank. Toes or knees. But everyone, let's have everyone do forearms here. So if we're going from knees, I'd like you to get a little bit of a dig. So you're pulling your knees and elbows as if they were to meet 2 inches below the floor under your belly button. Don't allow that lat and hip flexor engagement to pull you into extension. If we're doing toes, it's going to be the same thing. Trying to have the elbows and toes meet below the floor under the waistline or belly button. Breathe out. Pull the ribs and belly button up. Neck is relaxed. Chin's tucked. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Up to a pointer. This time we've got options. We can get wide again, or we can pull the toes up, or you can do wide and toes up. Pick one diagonal and begin. If you're going unstable with the toe up, so you only have 2 points of contact with the ground, really be careful of the low back here. It's tempting for the low back to tighten in order to protect, especially if we have a moment where we lose our balance and control. Pressing down through the hand, lifting that whole diagonal from the planted hand to the planted knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch. Other side, begin. "15 seconds. Chin tucked, eyes down, hand pressing. Keep the pressing hand down. That'll also help engage the shoulder. Keep it out of your ear. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Come onto your back. We're going to do that in and out from a bridge position. This time, we're going to go from feet flat to heels. So see if we can open up the range at the knee a little more than that first one. So tuck tailbone, lift hips, lead with one foot, out, out, in. Feet stay parallel to one another the whole time at about hip width. If you want to get a little bit wider, you may, but I'd rather the emphasis be on stability from that long hamstring position when your foot gets further away than a whole lot of rotational control by getting a wider base. Chin stays tucked, belly button is pulled down to the spine. The hips are up because we're pressing down through the feet. Don't think that you're lifting the hips, think you're pressing the feet down. 2, 1, straight into the other side. The goal here is not to have the hips moving up and down either. So it might be that your hips don't feel all the way up when your feet are in close. Ten seconds. and rest there. Good. Side plank clamshell. This time we're going to keep the toes together as we go full range of motion at the hip. So forearm down, ribs lifted. Challenge yourself here. See how high you can get that knee without splaying your hip or arching your back. So we're connected in front, knee up and down. Ten seconds. Fingertips are down in the ground, still have pressure through the forearm. You're actively pressing the ground away from you. 2, 1, and switch sides. Begin when you're there. Lower leg, trying to keep the foot relaxed so I'm not turned up on my toe here. See if you can feel the outside of your ankle on the ground, on the bottom side. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest there. Good. We're going to go back to that half kneeling. This time we're going to go a little bit slower as we go hands overhead, but we're still going to link our breath to every rep. So from here, we're in that hip flexor stretch. Heels are engaged. We're going to reach forward, breathe out as you come up. Ribs stay down. Breathe in. Here, we are going to allow a little bit of flexion through the spine, but as we extend, we're extending only to neutral. Breathe in and out as your hands come up. Keep the pressure through the heels. Both glutes are engaged to protect the back. Good. Switch sides. So again, take a moment, find the heels, engage the glutes so the hip flexors are stretched, but the low back is protected. Breathe in as you're down. Breathe out as you come up. Goal is to get those hands as high overhead as we can. Roll your elbows in so the point of your elbow is forward. That external rotation is going to help drop the shoulder. Three, 2, 1. Good. Hopefully we feel a little bit warmed up with those hands going overhead. We're now going to do alternating push-ups, and each hand we're going to alternate the hand that's on the slider. We're going up and out at about 45 degrees. Shoulder stays down. So we can go knees or feet, but as I come out, 45, in, switch, 45 again. Take your time on the switch. I don't want to, hopefully the shoulders are staying horizontal. The spine isn't moving laterally. So it's not this big global weight transfer. We're getting back under control. Push up, ribs stay up. Elbow stays in. 10 seconds. Three, two, one. Good. Come up to your feet, squat to toes. A little quicker this time. If you'd like to add a jump, you may. Just make sure we're landing quietly as we come down. We're sending those hands forward to get the hips back. Ten seconds. And rest there. Lateral squat back to the slider. If you're comfortable with it this time, allow yourself to get a little bit wider, a little bit lower, but we're not going to compromise any shift out to come back up. So really, first and foremost, we're staying 50-50. We're controlling as we come out into the squat. We're controlling as we come back in. This is one where, depending on how strong you're feeling tonight or today, we might toe the line. You might get a little bit further than you can handle. In that case, do shift back, but try not to do it 2 in a row. Kind of figure out what's that comfortable range for you, and we'll stay right on the edge of it. 3, 2, 1, switch sides. And begin. Hips go back, hands go forward. We're sitting into each squat here. Ten seconds. Lifting the pelvic floor as we scoop in, so we're getting the adductor as it crosses the knee all the way up into the pelvis. Trying to draw from here up and in, lifting from the pelvic floor and low abs. 3, 2, 1. Good. Straight into range of motion lunge here. So we're alternating which foot is on the slider. Keep the hips level. Keep them facing forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. As we get back into that range of motion, again, you can use your hands. Find that high hamstring. Stay open in the front of the hip. I'm not collapsing onto my upper thigh. Eyes come down with you. Hips stay square to the front. So I'm sitting right back behind the knee of that planted foot. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1. Good. We're going to go back to that static lunge. This time, if you'd like to make it more difficult, you can add a forward angle. So 45 degrees forward, 90 degrees to the side, 45 degrees back. If you need a reset, stand up all the way. Foot planted, ball of foot's down, arches up, femurs drawn back, pelvic floor is up. So we should feel high hamstring, a little bit of adductor. Feel your toes spread out on the ground. And the goal is to have no movement in that static leg. The hardest angle is going to be forward. So we can really focus on as the leg goes forward. I'm actively pulling that hip back. You might even feel that high adductor feeling like it might want to cramp. Most of the weight is in the plant foot. The slider is just down for a reference. Weight's in the heel. Really try to find that high hamstring and glute. 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. Starting in 2, 1. Begin. Oftentimes, our compensation patterns are different from side to side. So if you need to take a moment and reset, please do. Don't get kind of bound up in getting reps here. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back down to the ground, please. So it's going to be a single leg bridge. The free leg is in the air. The down leg is on the slider. You're going to pick a distance slightly greater than 90. And the goal is to hold that whole time. So it's going to be a static bridge. And we're trying not to let that foot slide away. The bigger the angle at the knee, the further your foot is from your head, the more difficult this will be on the hamstring. Heels down, toes up, foot vertical. To help find that medial hamstring, if you're wearing shoes, push the ball of the foot down into the shoe while pulling the big toe up. If you feel like you're losing it, put the other foot down or put your hips down, bring your foot back in, and then come back up. Don't try and do it while your hips are up. It's very, very easy to have your back kind of spasm or tighten up on you that way. 10 seconds. Belly button to spine, tailbone's tucked here. Elbows down or not, your choice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down and switch. So again, heel only on the ground. Foot is up, reach the ball of foot away from you, pull the big toe back towards you. Foot stays vertical. Tuck, lift, and hold. "30 seconds here. Use your breath to check in. Are your ribs relaxed and pulled down? Or is your belly button pulled down? If you need to reset, put the second foot or your hips down to do so, please. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Come on down. One hand back of your palm is on the slider. Your dying bug, snow angel combo. You can go free leg is up or down, your choice. We're going to reach the heel away as the opposite hand comes overhead. Really try and pull that shoulder blade down into the ground. So the ribs stay down, low back stays down. Begin. Exhale as you get long here. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch sides. Other side starts in 3, 2, and begin. I don't want the low back to become, or hip flexor to become a limiting factor here. Focus on, as you get long on the diagonal, the mechanics of that shoulder blade. Palm is up as that hand comes overhead. If in order to keep the low back safe or the hip flexor out of it, you need to put the second foot down, please do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. No slider. Side plank. Last side plank of the day. We're doing a thread the needle with the hand. So the hand is coming from the ceiling. And then as it comes down, it's going to come as far back as you can safely go. Knees, feet, your choice, feet stacked or top foot in front. Begin. Your eyes stay centered with your sternum as we go here. Exhale as you come under to lift those ribs, create room as you come underneath, and then lift as you come back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch. Other side in 3. And begin. It's important that as we come down, we keep pressure all the way through that forearm so my chest isn't collapsing down to the ground. I'm lifting as I come through. Almost feel like you're rotating around your spine, not through your spine. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Rest there. We're going to go back to the alternating push-ups. Depending on how your shoulders are feeling, having just loaded them through that range of motion, if you want to come to a shoulder tap or an overhead reach from a high plank position, you can do that. Starting in 2, 1, begin. So if we're not doing the push-up, if we're doing the shoulder tap, we're really just focused on no lateral shift, no rotation through the shoulders. Same thing if we're reaching overhead. If we're doing that push-up, we're loading through a bigger range of motion, but the spine stays stable and the shoulders horizontal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest and rest. You are done. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you next time.